Jointly.
Yes.
That's good. I mean, recently.
Yes, we have.
And maybe you'll be able to answer my question. What do you believe is the most important thing for your fire departments collectively? Is there one single thing?
Mainly, absolutely. You can have all the trucks in the world, you can have all the hose in the world. You can have
All the money in the world.
If you don't have a man to man, and that's a dying thing. That is a dying thing. People don't want to get up and do a fucking man.
Especially us old guys.
That's the only ones that are doing it.
Yeah.
We don't like it, but we're doing it.
Okay,
But seriously, it's
so what's the
becoming
answer?
It's gonna be, you're gonna have to pay. And you're
For
gonna have
what?
to step
Tell
for the
me,
step.
tell me what your thoughts
You're
are
gonna have
on
to
it.
put on some paid people, eventually. It's gonna
When?
happen.
For
When?
what
It might be
hours?
lower than that.
I'd say from now,
24/7, 365.
Well,
For having the.
the way we started out in Peters, and I was involved in that, because I was the
They
first
took all
one
the
hired.
monitors. No, I don't know. what
We
they
covered
base it
from
on.
6 o'clock in the morning
Nobody seemed
till
to
4
really
o'clock in the
be
evening,
able to
while the people
explain
were
that.
working. That worked for like 2 years, and then it didn't work anymore, so we had to reapproach them. So instead of us going through those baby steps like they did, I'd say we'd have to staff it 24, with at least a minimum amount of manpower.
What's the minimum?
Yeah, what's?
3 on a shift.
3 paid firemen, 24 hours a day. So
3 on a shift. You'd have to have 3 on a shift, the driver and 2 men. And that's it. That would be at 2 stations, so that's actually,
2 stations?
yeah, you'd have to man 2 stations.
3.
Or 3.
Here in this township.
Yeah, in this township, 3.
So we're talking about 6 paid firefighters?
yeah.
It'll be 9.
9.
Oh,
That's gonna come.
Yeah, we've tried different approaches for recruiting. Everything we go to, we try to get people.
St. Clair last year spent
Nobody's interested.
$5,000 on a recruiting job and got 1 person.
Application.
Yeah, and that
They get
didn't-
1 person.
And that didn't pan out.
Yeah.
what would be the least that it would take for us to break into it, little by little?
You know what? That would be something you didn't have to have a study done. And I'm not,
Really.
you'd have to have an independent company come in, do a study on, they'll pick up the back records, find out where the fires were, find out what the manpower situation is. It's a complicated situation. We did it, North Strabane did it, South Strabane did it when they hired people. It all came down to hiring people, but they had to do a study to figure out what the needs were.
How long did the study take?
It can take anywhere from a month to
A month or
a
two?
month or 2.
No, more than that, probably.
Depends. There was a study done here. When was there? There was a.
No,
when
it
there
was never completed.
It was never
Never
completed.
completed, never done for the whole big picture.
And
As
there,
far as,
I'm sorry, back several months ago, maybe at the beginning of the year, or I remember there was comments made that the township wanted to entertain that again. When the discussion was being done about Southbridge versus some of the other ambulance services, there were some comments made that, they wanted to do a combined study of EMS and fire, but again, that never materialized.
When was that?
that was like a year
It was
ago.
about a year ago.
Yeah, remember
Yeah.
that?
Actually,
Don said it at the meeting.
EMS and
He was
fire.
going to reinstitute it or revisit it.
What about record keeping? So, and I don't know the answer to this question at all.
Record keeping?
Do you guys keep records?
Oh, yeah, we keep records on fire code, records on equipment maintenance, records on what's spent.
Yeah, we
Anything you wanna
report on
say?
it to the state.
Well, let me talk about it. Can I
Wait
talk
one
on that for a
second.
minute?
Go ahead.
Yeah, just wait 1 minute. Alan, before you came in, I asked a question. What is the single most important thing that the 3 fire departments employees needed?
Paid firemen.
He did that right away.
Huh?
You get the,
I just,
you get the.
because I just can't see how it's overlooked so many times, and then on numerous occasions, that topic is overlooked, I think.
Well, that's
And
why.
and it is,
It's a-
I think the taxpayers of Cecil Township deserve paid firemen.
Well, you would be surprised, and I found this out you would be surprised at how many people that live in this community don't know that it's a volunteer fire department. They assume, when you move, and this was done on a study, when you move into a community, you look at number one, the school district, high on your list. You look at what recreational things are going on. You assume that you have police, fire, and EMS protection. That's an assumption that people have, that they have automatically.
I think Rose is first.
Well, maybe, but what I'm saying
I
is,
don't think anybody moves here.
but I don't think anybody moves here for the road. They move here for the school. If
The only
they
people
have
complain about the
children,
roads live
if
here.
they have children, they look for the school district.
I think
And they look for,
It's the schools,
they look
it's the
for-
schools, everybody wants schools, Canamac schools.
right, and what they look for recreation. What is here for recreation? What is here, what kind of football, what kind of soccer, what kind of park you have? They assume that they have fire. They assume that they have police, and they assume that they have EMS. That's an assumption. And they think that you'd be surprised that they think you're paid. You mean you're volunteer? Yeah, we're volunteer. How come it took you so long to get it? Because I had to get out of bed, get dressed, get to the fire station, grab the truck, and go to your fire. Takes some time to do that.
Let me ask you this question. This is a legitimate question. How would that look in your eyes as far as paid versus volunteer?
It's
Would there
been
be
work-
some combination of both? Would
Well,
it
yeah,
be-
you would, it would be a
absolutely.
combination department, yeah.
Yes.
Peters has a combination department, North Strabane has a combination department, South Strabane has a, Mount Lebanon's been paid for years. They have a combination.
And say your career fireman will start out on like a day shift, because that's when we're the shortest. Say like 8 to 4 shift, that would be the great start to career. And like, we're still gonna come to it, but you at least know that that fire truck's gonna get the,
Minimum staff.
With a minimum staff, which is 3 on a truck.
And go back to what you said, Peters,
4 on a ladder.
and we use Peters in a couple, but Peters throws like $30,000 into the volunteer fire fund every year, separate from what they give them, and it's divided
And
up
what
by
they
the.
do, they have what they call a paid call system.
Do you happen to know off the top of your head how much Peters gives, or how many they have paid and how much they give
I want to hear
separately?
what you were saying.
I can tell you right now.
Wait, I want to hear
Yeah,
first
well,
what you were
and
saying.
this is why one of the guys there, and Bob was there, they started out with $30,000 a year for the volunteers. That's separate from all their other benefits, and that was divided up for that on-call.
$30,000 is put into a pot. At the end of the year, around Christmas time, they divide that amongst how many calls they had, and what they do is how many calls that you made, you get a dollar value per call. And they volunteers get issued a check. The paid people are paid. They don't
That's
get
an
a
incentive to keep the volunteers.
And what they do is, they take taxes out of it and everything else, and you get this check around Christmas time, and that keeps them interested.
You got employee money for your kid, presents for your kids, and for missing all
So
of your
that's
stuff.
per fire department?
No, well, they only have one department.
Yeah, they have one fire.
So they take $30,000 and divide it into.
How many volunteers do they
Do
have?
they have, I don't know. how
I don't have all this
I'll
stuff.
open that up right now.
I was actually starting to do that too.
Yeah, it's on their
I would
website.
love to.
It is on their website.
And see,
So how much do they, and again, because I'm totally new to this, how much would a paid fireman
It
make?
started $39 an hour with there.
39 an hour?
Yeah, last I heard, 34, 39.
What does that equate per year? Somebody usually calculate.
40 times 2,080. 40 times 2,080.
Here,
I don't think that would
34 times 20.
39 an hour, that better
That's
include benefits.
70,000.
Yeah.
That includes benefits and everything, 39 an hour,
Plus
right?
benefits, they have.
So actually, the pay is probably about 19 an hour, 20 an hour.
I was gonna say, because that'd be $71,000.
Yeah, we're like,
Yeah, they're all making over 50 to start.
Sounds right.
They're all making, yeah.
Oh,
They're making the
I
30.
was making over 50 when I retired.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
they were, Peters was paying $30,000 a year for the volunteers he's put in the pond,
Mhm.
but they only have one fire department.
They run, yeah.
Right.
We have
How
two
do they
stations.
manage one fire department with a number of?
They have
There's
two
two
They have
stations.
two stations.
Two stations.
And their main station is centrally located, and they have another one, a substation, down in Bevo.
So how many employees is that?
How many employees?
They don't man either.
They only
They
man,
only man one
they only
station.
man one
How many
station.
volunteers is that?
I'm trying
That
to
comes
find
and
it.
goes. That comes and goes up.
And North Strabane has one fire department, but they have 3 stations, right?
And what do they do?
They only man one, no, they man two
They
stations.
mean to speak.
They man the one on 19 and they man the one at the Meadows
And
right
they've only got 3 volunteers to go through essentials, and last year we just talked to them. And there were 3 guys about the same age, or younger guys that want to do it, and they pay a shift system and have benefits too. They have compensation for the volunteers beside their paid firefighters. But the difference is, one of the biggest differences is just not paying people to sit there. They have a fire code. They go pull alarms. They do fire inspections. Their firemen just don't wait to sit out, put out fire.
Every day, when I got to work at Peters, I was deputy chief. I would assign, they would do fire inspections, they would go out and do schools, teaching at the schools, they would have fire drills at the schools, we would have community people coming in, training them on smoke detectors and fire extinguishers. They were busy. Then we had a maintenance staff that actually took care of the equipment, the building.
But a volunteer can get, volunteer for a shift over there and make a part-time income. But they weren't a full-time employee with all the other benefits.
Well, no, they got points to go.
Points, but they weren't-
got points on
but
that
they-
pay schedule, not
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But they weren't considered employees. They were still volunteers, but they had compensation for it.
What I want to say, this is kind of overwhelming because there's so much to absorb all at once.
Okay, I can understand.
How can we succeed as a municipality into this gradually? What do you see as the best way to get us started?
The 4th station at South Point, paid, built for you, manned by you.
That's
What
what,
about the rest of the township?
that could be covered, that's a central location.
We support them. I mean, unless, I mean, I'm not prepared,
Wait,
anybody
a
prepared
4th
to.
station?
Yeah. You got $1 billion enterprise going in Cool Valley.
I think,
Oh, well, that might not happen for 20 years.
That's what they say on their website.
Well, they've been
can say
saying
what
that for a
they
long
want,
time.
you know, they have
Is it true there's 12-story buildings out there?
I think us,
They plan to build between Morganza Road and I.
Is that a special exemption area where they can do more than 4-story buildings?
Not a
I don't know.
Not right
They
now.
have a lot of problems with the traffic. It's never been approved, and there's going to be, I think, they would like to do it within a 3-year period, have the first pad ready. I don't think there's a chance that that can happen, and that's just that one area.
I would totally agree about the South Point Station, like right off the bat.
You would or would not?
I would not. I know it's a lot to handle, but I think that
How can we
The
do a
3
fourth
fire
station
department-
when we aren't even taking care of the 3 that we have? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
And how do you divvy
I
it?
think we need to concentrate on the three stations that are now instead of adding on. And then after we get better resources and the manpower to actually take care of South Point with us 3. And then if we see if we have to add a 4th one, maybe that's somewhere down the road.
Do we
I
ever
think
get
that
to the
makes sense.
point where we're combining into one
That's
fire,
eventually, that's
fire
probably what
department with
the
various?
study's probably gonna tell you that that's what you need to do,
Right.
is have one chief. You can have 3 separate stations, but that's another thing too. You have.
But like, that's what I was saying, Schultze, that's what I was saying, dude. We don't need somebody there writing us policies and telling us what to do. We need somebody there driving a fire truck and pulling hose off the truck.
Absolutely.
I agree.
But if
We
you're-
don't need anybody dictating to us, saying, yes, so them sitting in an office, so down here, and them calling us on the phone, telling us volunteers what to do.
I-
We need somebody driving the fire truck, so we need somebody
Oh,
putting out
absolutely.
fire.
Yeah, absolutely, we need
Can I
firemen
say
in the
something
truck.
Yeah.
along those lines?
What did
The
you
re-
say, Cindy?
Can I
But
say
when you
something
put
along
firemen
those
in a truck,
lines?
you have to
That's
manage
what
them
I
somehow.
worry about, if I'm being truthful. Like, if you're paying somebody $39 an hour, which is about $71,000 a year, we're not gonna pay somebody $70,000 a year to drive a fire truck. The reality of that, like, just financially wouldn't make sense. We'd never be able to sell it to the residents in the township. But if that's what you're looking for, is that the volunteers still maintain control,
Well,
to
they're not
me.
only just driving the fire truck up.
They'd be doing
That's what they're
inspections.
putting out fire, that's what they're gonna do inspections.
But I'm just saying, like, if you're making them a paid person, they're gonna, and they're here, and that's their job, is to do inspections, part of that job, in my opinion, would be the
Okay.
right policy,
Yeah.
correct?
All right, so everybody that works for Cecil Township